left ear, and you can see by the colour of the wax, it's quite dark. So the wax is oxidised, it's been there for a while. And I saw the patient in 2017, so it's been 5 years. With earwax, it is a benign condition, so because it doesn't generally happen overnight, and it's a gradual process, it can creep up on you. Similar to people who suffer from age-related hearing loss, they estimate it can take around 10 years before someone can notice their age-related hearing loss. And in fact, it's their friends and family who notice first, because they're realising that the individual keeps saying pardon, etc. And I started off using a micro suction probe, a Zollner suction probe, but the surface of the wax was too solid, and sometimes inadvertently, when you've got a whole boulder of wax like this, when you touch the surface of the wax, you're not going to get a suction grip. So the tendency is then to go in a bit deeper and further with the suction probe in an attempt to create a suction grip. But what you manage to do is actually push the wax further, and if this plug extends all the way to the eardrum, it's quite easy by applying pressure with the suction probe that you're pushing the wax plug further in. So I've just put a bit of oil in there at the beginning just to see if I can soften the surface, and it did help slightly, but I decided to use a hook, and I was hoping I can get the hook in and behind the wax and pull it out. It did actually just slice through it like a hot knife through butter, but sometimes when you slice the wax, it breaks it up. It's almost like a hammer and chisel effect, and it does facilitate removal. Now you can see there's a few hairs at the entrance, just at the bottom there, that's matted against the wax. And I'm bringing this forward, so I'm just wriggling it out. I'm trying to tease it out. However, I think there's a phase where it went back in again, so I'm going to use some forceps to try to get a grip. Now, I open the jaws at its maximum height, trying to pinch onto the wax. You can see it just broke away the matted portion. So I'm just resorting back to the ear hook, and I'm just guiding it in. Because the patient's got a bendy ear, we've just got to be careful that when we insert the hook, we don't make contact with the back part of the ear canal, the posterior part. And I'm just trying to roll it forwards, actually. So you can be quite tempted of, right at the beginning you saw I put the hook in and I went through the wax. So what I'm trying to do here to prevent the hook just sliding through the wax, I'm just making little movements, and slowly but surely managed to remove it. And you can just see how narrow that ear is when we went in, and how bendy that second bend is. So just to the left hand side, you can see the second bend, the cartilage. You can see it veers off to the left afterwards. So it's quite a sharp chicane of the ear canal. There's just some matted wax just at the roof. And in fact, you can't even see the eardrum. The eardrum's that bendy. Although the endoscope's being shone straight into the ear canal, you can only see the back part of the ear canal, so it's that bendy. Nice and healthy eardrum. And this is the patient's right ear. The wax at the surface here is a bit more softer and fudgier than the left sides, but I decided to go straight in with the hook. And again, I was just trying to avoid the hook to go straight through, but unfortunately it did. So I'm going to use some suction, I believe, in a minute as well. And I'm just trying to detach this from the bottom of the ear canal. I'll put some oil as well. That's where you can see when we put the oil in, it does suction that up, and it does create a slight blurry appearance on the lens. I'm just trying to tease this out. It is coming forwards, but then it drops back in. Now, the problem with this plug is that it's lodged deeper past that second bend, because the patient's got a sharp second bend. It's trapped around the corner, so we have to bring this out at the same time manoeuvring it, trying to take the shape of the ear canal into context as well, and into consideration as we're bringing it forwards. This ear was a lot more narrower at the entrance, I found, so just gone back in with the hook, and again it has sliced it a bit. Now again, it's not the end of the world. When you slice the wax, you can then go back in with the suction probe and vacuum it up. I've just glided the hook in on the anterior canal wall, and I'm trying to stab it in sideways into the core, but again, I only succeeded to bring in a little piece. But there is an opening at the top now that I've created, and I'm slowly just trying to get in right and behind. And as I'm bringing this wax out, I'm just going to be careful that the hook doesn't embed against the base of the ear canal and stab it and cut it and graze it. Managed to get out in a single plug, and similarly to the patient's left ear, it's got a very sharp a bend just here. This is the second bend on the right hand side. There's a bit of wax just stuck on the corner. I'm just going to vacuum that out. There's a bit of keratin there. So before the patient went, I just advised don't leave it 5 years until they come again, because it was quite a significant blockage. That's the patient's eardrum. I'm just going to mop up near the entrance. And again, this view gives you an appreciation of how bendy and narrow the ear canal is. So we go in, we have to veer to the left and then back to the right. They're the two plugs of wax.